Alright, for my first video, I'm going to talk to you about schoolrooms. Schoolroom, the kind of schoolroom you have, what you have in your schoolroom, how you choose to lay out your schoolroom, all that kind of stuff. It just depends on what you have to work with in terms of space, what you can afford in terms of budget, what you want, the age of your kids. There's all kinds of factors that play into it. So I'm just going to show you what our schoolroom has. And my recommendation is, if you're looking to start a schoolroom because you're new to homeschooling, or if you're looking to start a schoolroom because you finally found a specific space or place for your homeschool room, then just look at different pictures and videos online and then pick and choose what you want and what you think is going to work for you and your kids. So the first thing I wanted in our schoolroom was a whiteboard. Ours is a pretty good size. We just bought this at Staples and it was a bit pricey in terms of whiteboards. There are other ways to get a whiteboard and other things you can use to make it a lot cheaper than just buying one that's already made. But if you're just looking for something where it's already ready for you, you can just go to, an office supply store or go online and order one. So we use this on a fairly regular basis. We use it mostly for math, but we used to use it for various English and history lessons and whatever comes up. You can see that ours, I put inspirational quotes up in the top corners, usually by some sort of founding father. These are both in reference to learning and knowledge and education. And then this is our most recent math lesson here on the board. I also like to do posters. Different people don't like to do posters, but we always have some. They make the room more colorful, and my son is older, so we've got more of these character building type posters up in the corners here, responsibility and trustworthiness. And then over here, the rules of always being a gentleman. There is a little reminder for him. There's also another poster over here we had behind the computer. It's an American history poster, mostly pertaining to, I believe, the branches of government. We had to cover that up because he had a test relating to that. But we also have, usually the other posters are pertaining to science. We're doing earth science this year, so we've got the rocks and the water cycle, and in the past we've had things with previous animals and specific weather information. It just depends what we're studying that year or that semester, because sometimes I'll switch them halfway through the year. But when he was younger, we had like a cursive letter guide to look at if you wanted to reference that, and things with like the multiplication tables and addition tables and all that kind of stuff. So it just depends. You can go to the teacher supply store or go online to sites that have posters and pick what you want, what you have room for. This is kind of a random thing we have in our room. This is just a small cork board I got on sale the end of the back to school sales. I got it really cheap, so we use it for various things. This one, we currently just finished Romeo and Juliet, so whenever we do a Shakespeare play, we use this board to kind of keep track of all the people that died within the play. So we've got our Mercutio and Tybalt, Lady Montague. I didn't have a printout for her, so I kind of made a beautiful one here. See, isn't that lovely? And then, oh, I'm getting shaky. Romeo, Juliet, and good old Paris. So, sometimes we'll put vocabulary words up here. Sometimes we just put random funny pictures. Just different stuff depending on what we're learning, what we need it for. Now, something I recommend every schoolroom has is a map or a globe or both. We actually have maps located up at the top of our stairwell because we just don't have the wall space here in the schoolroom for it, but we do have a globe located right here, and My son uses it on a fairly regular basis. When he's doing history or science, he'll get up and spin around and reference it for whatever he needs it for. I would also recommend any good schoolroom have some sort of bookcase. It can be big, it can be small. Mine is a fairly small one. It just mainly holds things we need on a daily basis. You can see we've got our writing prompts can. And then most of the stuff up here on the top shelf I've made off limits to my son because that's stuff we're going to be using in the future. The stuff on the bottom shelf is stuff we reference, like reference books that he uses on a daily basis. He's got thesaurus, dictionary, actually different types of dictionaries. There's a Spanish, English dictionary, rhyming dictionary, and then we got the history encyclopedia, and then a big atlas of the states. So it's just a way to, you know, keep your different books handy that you need. We've also got, you know, a couple other bookshelves upstairs that are, you know, packed full of books, free reading and things we've used in the past, and I'll just, you know, move things around as I need them down here versus up there and whatever. There are different things you can use for storage. I just went with the cheaper, easier to get type of things. They're easy to move around. If you get something like this, you can get it at, you know, your Walmart or your Target. And back to school time, or, you know, that kind of time of the year is when these are pretty cheap. You can usually get them for 10 or 11 bucks. Sometimes maybe a little cheaper. If you buy them now, it just depends. You can maybe find them on sale for about that, but a lot of times middle of the year they're more like 13 or 14. And these just, for us, these just hold a bunch of junk that we may or may not need. When you start homeschooling, you'll find that you collect things that you may need in the future, and then you kind of don't have the time or just decide not to get rid of them because you just might need them. For example, we got colored chalk in here. I think I bought that for science a couple of years ago, but we haven't really used it since, but I know if I throw it out, I might need it for something or other, so we kind of hold on to it. And then there's various writing utensils in here. You can see I keep markers that I use here, as well as our whiteboard markers, which are right below the board. I like a variety of different colors, as you can see. I use probably 3 or 4 at once when we're doing a lesson. And then our eraser. And then you can also see in here, there's various flashcards, an extra calculator, different things we used when he was younger. And this is the drawer of wonder. I don't even know, there's actually oil filters in here, so go figure. I guess I just threw them in there because it was handy at the time. But generally this is all school stuff. We actually have a couple more of these plastic drawered bins that helps keep different things accessible for us. You can see that this one is packed full of stuff. There's actually various materials for science experiments that we keep around for whenever we need them. Some of the things are kind of odd, but you'd be surprised when it's like, oh, do I have something like this? And I go on into the drawers and yep, there it is. Another thing you can see we've got sitting around our schoolroom are these crates. Now, I know I have bookshelves, but this is actually our dining room area that we turned into a schoolroom. So I didn't want tons and tons of shelving that was blocking off the area. I can move these around and out of the way if need be, and them being open kind of makes everything just there and ready to go. They really hold a lot, so I'm kind of fond of them. I'm not thrilled with the purple color of this one, but that must have just been what was available at the time, and I just said go with it. The one on the right here is just random stuff that we may or may not need, but I want to know where it is quickly if I need to get it. There's various writing references, our Greek and Latin roots books, if we need to look into those. various notes he's taken on things. Our Spanish verb book, music. You can see there's tons of different things in here. At the end of every school year, I try to go through and clean out anything I know for sure we aren't going to use anymore, so it doesn't overflow with materials, because it can happen when you're a homeschooler. But a lot of this is good material to reference, so I keep it handy for us. And then we also have this one, which is our main crate. This is where all our active stuff is. Anything we use several times a week is right here. We put books that just aren't being used at the time. Every day I'll pull out books and put them on the table for what he needs for that day. But, you know, sometimes I'll forget, but they'll be right here, handy and ready to go if he needs them. So, yeah, that's how we use those. You can get them back to school time. They can usually be like $3 or $4 or something like that at Target or Walmart. You can get them in the middle of the year at a place like Staples or Office Depot, but I know at Staples they can run anywhere from like $15 to $20 in the middle of the year. So you really want to take advantage of any back to school sales when you're considering your supplies and your organization and storage, you know, for your books. Okay, another thing that's really important if you decide to have a schoolroom is your desk situation. I originally wanted to get a desk. I wanted to get a double student desk so there was more table space, and I actually wanted it facing our board. This is obviously not facing our board. You can see our board there, and here's the table. But we already had this one handy. I mean, it was in our garage already, and it was obviously something we didn't have to pay more money for. And the size is really good. We put my son's computer, which he uses for school a lot. He uses it for Spanish lessons and typing up papers and whenever he needs to look up things for a project or whatever. But we don't do too many classes online right now. He'll be in high school next year, so that may change. And then he just got a lot of room here for books and materials and folders and binders, whatever he needs to lay out, so he isn't trying to, like, you know, squish it all together. He can freely open things and have different resources available to him right here on the desk as he needs it. And then we just have a couple little things. We got like a open pencil case here with pencils. He keeps his glasses here. Some math tools. We keep the calculator, his compass, and then we keep some scissors and pencils and markers handy, so he can use those for whatever comes up. And that's basically it. I mean, if you have a bigger schoolroom, then fabulous. Do what you need to do what you can do. A lot of people get bookshelves, and for their younger kids, they lay out different like learning toys on them, so those are accessible to their kids. Obviously, if you have a younger kid, you can have more colorful posters, things with the letters or the numbers or the dates or the weather or whatever you can come up with. If you want it in your schoolroom, basically you can put it in there. So yeah, have any questions, feel free to post them below and I'll try to answer them for you. Thanks.